ever notice that we can know the best thing to do for ourselves, but still not do that thing?
Oh, yeah. 1000%.
That's where I find myself out right now. Like this
That's-
week, that really hit me hard.
Well, that's where we find ourselves at a couple of times throughout the year.
Yeah. We know what's right, we get on the right path, and then we jump right back off onto the wrong path until all that we had built that was on the good path is
Just
gone.
comes crumbling.
Yes. My name is Justin,
And I'm Labray.
and this is the Better Together podcast. Thank you guys for being here with us today, and that's really what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I've hit another one of those moments in my life where I'm like, this just isn't working. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I've been in this place multiple times.
Yep. And we know what causes it.
Yeah.
Is the problem. But we still fall back to it.
We still fall back to it. And diet's one major thing, but also activity level.
Yes.
And the wintertime's hard.
Yeah, it really is. And especially in our area, because...
I think in most areas. Honestly, we have it easier than like northern places.
Yeah, well, because, they just get snow, but then you can do all the snow activities.
No, but it's dark all the time.
Wet. And yuck.
You've watched the Millennial Farmer videos. You know how bad it is up there for him. It's just muddy all the time. All the time mud. But you fall into that in the wintertime especially. Like it's just dark and gloomy and the days are shorter. And
it gets
honestly,
dark at 4.
Being younger, I didn't really remember these things being a problem. I didn't.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like it was as big of a deal when I was younger. Like I didn't notice how the seasons affected me as much. But now that I'm older, I 100% notice how the seasons affect me.
Well, you're so much more in tune now, I guess, as an adult. Like, as a kid, everything's, whatever.
Yeah. Well, they talk about, like, how you notice time goes by faster. And I would say that that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Like, you can notice that time does go by a whole lot faster now. But I feel like I notice the things that are happening a lot more.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like up until, having a kid and being married and all those things, which we did that in the opposite order. But anyway.
We got married,
then had a kid. But, but like growing up and becoming an adult and things like that, like that's when you really start to realize you're like, oh, like I'm starting to really take note of things a whole lot more. I feel like it's just like fly by the seat of your pants until you're like 21. And then it's like, oh, now things, maybe it's because you're in more of a normal routine.
Yeah. Well, and like, you're at that spot where you've arrived. Like, all up until then, you're going to school so that way you can graduate, so you can go to college or start a career.
Yeah.
And then you go to college and you get that career and you're like, okay, now I'm going to settle down and find a wife, find a husband, start a family. And you're like, oh, okay, well, did all that. Now what? And you just start really taking stock of everything else.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It's just you seem to notice more. You become more philosophical the older you get. I don't know.
Well, we have noticed that in a lot of the media that we've consumed is the older you get, the...
Well, no, just some of the YouTube channels nowadays, though, are so, like, introspective and, like, oh, I've got to look deep within myself and these things and those things and all that. I'm like, this is a lot, guys. Yeah. Like, let's just chill back. If we're going to be philosophical and look deep into the questions of life, let's just go to the Bible.
Yeah.
Read
it has all the answers.
Yeah, read some wisdom literature.
I mean, literally, it's spelled out there for you. Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
I don't know who looks at the Bible and's like, you know what that stands for? Like, the first person who came up with that, they're just sitting there and one day just hits them in the side of the head. Oh, you know what the Bible could stand for?
Yep. And now no one knows who that person is, but everyone says it. Well, all Christians.
I bet that not even all Christians have heard that one. Because I didn't hear that one until not that long ago.
I love that one. I heard it years ago, and I still use it.
Yeah, it's not wrong. It's just interesting. But, no, recently it's just been one of those things because, like, we've been busy, obviously. And I don't want to sit here and complain about, oh, we've been so busy. But we have taken on more things. I do 2 podcasts a week. You do a podcast a week. But me doing another podcast does affect you.
Yes.
But, we do the podcast. We've got church twice a week. And then we've got Bible study now and all those things. And we've even been having, like, church meetings and stuff like that on the weekends. And so you're just in that busy season of life, that busy time. And I've noticed myself not doing much active.
Yes.
Like, I don't even know I guess Christmas time was the last time that we even, like, went on a hike.
Yeah.
And so that's
So, I mean,
been
2 months.
over 2 months ago
Mhm.
at this point. That's kinda crazy to think
Yeah.
about
'Cause
about for us.
we really enjoy being outside and hiking and all of that.
Well, I mean, like, when
So,
we first got married, we were known as, like, these are the crazy active people at
yeah.
church.
Mhm.
Like, we were kayaking, like, every day after work except for
Mhm.
Wednesdays. Like, we were kayaking all the time, and then Saturdays, we were always going somewhere to go on
Mhm.
some kind of adventure and hike and be active and things
Mhm.
like that. But then, obviously, when you have a kid, some of those things change.
Yeah, it slowed down some, but, like, we were still very active.
Yeah,
And, like, his favorite things to do were to go outside and
but it
go
changes
hike
the way
and
that you can be active, though.
yeah.
So, like, it did change things quite a bit. I'm not saying,
Mhm.
like, obviously, there's people who just quit doing anything when they have a kid,
Yeah.
and we didn't do
We just
that.
adjusted.
But it's definitely diminished over time,
Mhm.
our ability to do things, and so that's one thing, though. So, last year in
Mhm.
July, I walked 2 miles every day
Mhm.
for the whole entire month of July. No exceptions, no days off,
Yep.
nothing like that, and it wasn't just I walked 2 miles throughout the day. I went on a 2-mile walk
Mhm.
every day in July.
Which props to you because that was not an easy task.
No, it wasn't, and, it actually that probably was easier than doing the whole 30 because I also did the whole 30 at the same time. And then you're not really supposed to make 2 life changes like that at the same time, but I did it, and I learned why you don't do that, and it's because you come off on a bender, and you go into, "I'm not gonna walk anymore, and I'm also never gonna eat healthy food again
Until the new year.
until the new year." And then I'm gonna go on the Daniel fast because there's gotta be some changes, but still, sadly, those changes didn't stick as much as I would've liked to just because
Mhm.
of certain circumstances that are taking place.
Mhm.
But then being active is such a bigger part of
Yeah.
it. And so it's like every day for the
Mhm.
last month or so, I've just been tired
Mhm.
all the time. Like, I don't wanna do anything. I just wanna come home and just, like, lay
Mhm.
around, and, like, I'm not motivated.
Yep.
And so, like, yesterday, I just finally hit that point where I was like, "This is it. I'm done.
Mhm.
I don't want to feel this way anymore, and I know what's gonna make me feel better."
Yep.
Because I never feel more better than when I'm active. And it sounds like the opposite.
Mhm.
When you're tired, and this is what I was struggling with, like, over the weekend and even, like, last week especially, which was what
Mhm.
brought me to this place and really nailed home the realization again, is when you feel tired, you're like, "I just need to go sleep.
Mhm.
If I sleep, I'll catch up on being tired, and I won't be tired anymore."
No. You're just
No,
gonna be more tired.
that's really kinda what I mean, I felt a little bit better this
Mhm.
week after resting on the weekend and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
I still didn't feel energized. I didn't still feel like I had a bunch of energy, and so
Mhm.
yesterday, I was like, "Okay, I'm doing something different."
Yeah.
And so I decided I was like, "I'm gonna see how many push-ups I can do before I leave work."
Mhm.
'Cause I just take a few minutes every once in a while and do some push-ups, and I did some increments of 20, and that obviously got harder throughout the day. But basically, by the time I left work, I'd done 100 push-ups. And so, like, that's a pretty big
Yeah.
step.
Mhm.
That was a
That's a
pretty
big step.
big yeah.
And for someone of your height, that's a really hard task to
Well,
do.
I did do, like, elevated push-ups or whatever. So, like,
Yes.
you're kind of, like, at an angle to build up a little bit better because I'm not I'm not overweight or anything like that, thankfully.
Mhm.
But, um
You
I'm
just
still not in the best shape in the world, and so it's like doing real push-ups, like you're saying, being as tall as I am,
it's
I start
hard
to
to
dip in the middle a
yeah.
little bit. When you're 6'6" and you're stretched out on the floor, it's kinda hard to hold all that up for a push-up because 'cause you're
Especially
doing
at
so
that
much at
like,
one point.
that perfect angle you want for a push-up. You want everything all in a straight line. That's really hard to do the taller you get.
Yeah,
And I'm a short person, so that's fairly easy for me. Like,
and what it really
but I
comes
can
down to
see the
is
struggle.
I can do it, but then my back starts to hurt, and
Mhm.
so, like, I'm starting on the elevated one to hopefully build up the core muscles to
Mhm.
then get better. But so still did 100 of them. Still really sore today.
And
Sore all in this area.
tomorrow's gonna be worse.
Yeah, probably.
That
I might
second
just
day,
do
y'all.
some push-ups.
Oh.
It's kinda like this, I learned this when we used to go to the gym,
Mhm.
and if you work out and then you feel sore and you don't feel good after, go work the same muscle group, and it's gonna hurt at first,
Mhm.
but then you'll be able to move again.
Yeah.
Because there was times, like, I was a dumb kid, and it's like I would and, like, my whole life, I've been in and out of things, and
Mhm.
hopefully I can change that.
Yeah.
And, like, so far on the podcast, we're doing great, by the way.
Woohoo!
I think this is, like, episode 29 of this podcast,
Mhm.
28 or 29. So, like, that's
Yeah.
pretty great. We're over halfway through a year's worth of
Mhm.
podcast episodes, which is pretty cool. But anyways, um, I would go and, like, work out really hard
Mhm.
after not working out for a long time and, like, really dead arm myself. like lifting weights and stuff like that. And like to the point where you couldn't stretch your arm out straight. Like it would hurt to stretch your arm all the way
Mhm.
out. And so, but what I learned in doing that is like if you go back the next day and just do a little bit of workout like that, it
Mhm.
loosens that muscle back
Yeah.
up some. And so you could move again.
Mhm. Well, because when you're working out, you're tearing the muscle.
Yeah.
So when it gets real stiff like that, it's because it's trying to heal back. So when you do that little bit more, you're just technically reopening that wound a little
Yeah.
bit, making it a little larger so that way you can have that mobility again.
Yeah. But I feel awesome right now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel jacked right now, even though it's getting, like, close to 8 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
I still have energy. I'm not like, "Oh, I just need to go to bed. I'm so tired." And, like, I don't know if that came through on any of the podcasts, but there were some episodes where I kinda felt that way. It's like, I don't really wanna do this right now. I'd rather just go lay down.
Mhm.
Um,
Which I think your energy is coming through in this one because you're talking a mile a minute. Like,
yeah.
wow.
Well, like, we practiced, I get to teach Bible study this week, and I'm
Mhm.
hopefully gonna make a video about that, but, um, in that, I
Mhm.
wanted to practice with you last night, and that's kinda how I felt during that. I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just going like
You feel like you're talking like our child.
Yeah, yeah. Feel like I'm just, like, running through it, just
Me when I first got my thyroid medication.
yeah. Like, "Hey, guys, how you doing today?" That was funny time. But, um, I just feel better
Mhm.
because of the exercise. Now, I do think, though, there's something to be said of, like, you can go the opposite, and
Yes.
so when I did the 2 miles every day,
Mhm.
like, I still felt good, but you do hit that limit
Yeah.
of where, like, "Oh, man, this is a lot,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure that this is sustainable."
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is the best choice, you know? And, like, because 'cause you're doing it and that was the thing is, like, there it just got to be a lot every day,
Yeah.
and to where, like, on Wednesdays and Sundays
Mhm.
especially, it's like, I've gotta go figure out a way to get 2 miles in
Mhm.
and still be able to go to church and still do things like that. It's
Mhm.
like, it just
And still be able to function through that because when you're doing something that for that long,
yeah,
it just really wears on you. Like it's
yeah.
mentally draining.
Well, it just takes a long time to do it, and so that was the
Mhm.
real problem is, like, I was walking sometimes, I was running
Mhm.
sometimes, it was just, like, I was really trying to build up into running, and I wish I had just kept going last year, and we're gonna get into that in a minute, but, so I was trying to build to running, so sometimes I'd run, sometimes I'd walk,
Mhm.
but still, like, the fastest that I would knock that out was probably about 20 minutes,
Mhm.
would be, like, a pretty good time for getting all that for taking 2 miles,
Mhm.
and that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's you've gotta go somewhere
Yeah.
because we don't have a treadmill, we don't have anything like that,
Mhm.
so you've gotta go somewhere in order to do that, and then you've got to do it, and then by the time, like, especially in a church time, it's like,
Yeah.
"Well, I've gotta shower because it was
Mhm.
July.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it wasn't like it was a spring day.
Yeah, you didn't pick to do it in December or in
No. And I was trying to
March.
do it before my birthday,
Mhm.
like, just trying to feel better before my birthday, and I felt great for my birthday.
Mhm.
Just
And then you went really hard on all the bad food.
yeah. I even spiked my cholesterol by the time I had my medical appointment, which was shortly after my birthday, which was kinda shocking, so
Mhm.
hopefully this year, that'll be better again.
Yeah.
I also didn't eat as many quail eggs last year,
Yeah.
and the quail eggs are supposed to help your cholesterol, and I don't know if that's true or not, but
Mhm.
there's a very good chance that it is, and so that might be a
Because
theory I need to test.
well, I don't know that our quail are gonna be laying again this
We
year.
know people,
True.
but, we can get our hands on some quail eggs, but, now I forgot my whole train of thought.
Sorry.
No, but so that's what like, I think that there's something to be said, though, is, like, so
Mhm.
I was doing it so much. There
Yeah.
was so much walking and so much things like that. I think that you've gotta find one balance, and that's
Yes.
something I struggle greatly with in my life, even though I believe that the Bible heavily, heavily
Mhm.
emphasizes the fact that God wants us to live a balanced life.
Yes. But it's hard to find that balance. To strive for it and desire it is one thing, but actually finding that balance is
Yeah.
incredibly difficult.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So,
It's hard to find that place in your own life and
mhm.
be balanced in what you're doing and what you're trying to do. And
Yeah.
I think we can all admit to that.
Yes.
I'm not so big that I think like, "Oh, I'm perfect." Like, I know I'm far from perfect. There's a lot. We can get into that. You guys wanna know all my problems, Bree could lay it out for you. But
You gotta take the trash out on Thursday.
we'll see. Hopefully. Hopefully, I can do it tomorrow. That's the only way I can ever get ahead of it. But, that's a whole inside thing. But,
Sorry, y'all.
it's just I noticed the burnout in myself from
Mhm.
not doing enough active things and
Yes.
just being active.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean like, oh, I'm gonna go do 2 miles every day again
No.
because I know that that's not the right
No.
answer.
Yeah.
But I do need to try to be active. And so I'm not sure how well it comes up. Oh, I didn't even know I skewed the camera to where like it's way more on my side.
It's okay. You're so pretty.
Well, but it should be more square. We
Mm.
gotta. We're still working out this whole studio thing.
We'll get there,
We
guys.
just need like the drop down from the ceiling rig.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
nice.
what we need.
But then we're gonna do all the ceiling stuff.
But then at the same time, it would still get messed up. But
Yeah.
anyways, maybe you can see a bike over here. If I move out of the way,
Yeah, there's just you see the wheel
you
and
might be
the
able to see the wheel pretty well
Mhm.
in that corner over there. But so that's on the bike trainer, not a fancy one, like literally it's literally
The cheapest one you can get.
the cheapest bike trainer that you can get. It doesn't track anything.
Nope.
All it does is provide resistance for a bicycle.
Yeah.
That's what it does. I wish that I had a Wahoo or one of those other fancy
Or a
ones.
Peloton even.
Well, a Peloton would be great, but that's so expensive. I would much rather be on the Zwift bag. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically like a video game for cyclists.
Yeah.
And so that whole thing is you sit in front of the TV and you ride your bike inside, and you're basically playing a video game on the screen, racing other people on the internet.
Hey, I
But the
mean,
thing is, cycling is awesome.
yeah.
I really enjoy cycling.
Mhm.
We've gone on cycling trips. We
Mhm.
went on the Virginia Creeper, which isn't technically cycling, but it was still biking,
Yes.
mountain biking, gravel riding, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's
It
a
was a
great thing.
blast.
Highly recommend it. We might make a whole podcast about Virginia at some point.
Oh, so many good things there.
But the thing about that is that like that you got that trail, or like
Mhm.
we went to Pennsylvania. I was like, what better place
Mhm.
to go cycling than in Pennsylvania, in Amish country,
Yep.
where there's Amish people on horse and buggies. People here are used to avoiding slow-moving objects on
Yes.
the road. It's not like in East
And
Tennessee.
it's flat.
You remember the first time we saw the Amish people on the Cherry Hollow Skyway
Yes.
or near us? It's like a few hours away,
It's like, whoa.
and it's like, But in Pennsylvania, you're just looking for it. You're actually
Mhm.
hoping to find it.
Yeah.
People are driving slow through Pennsylvania, like, where are the Amish people at? I'm gonna
Every time
find
our
the
son
Amish
would see one,
people.
he'd go, "Yeehaw!"
He was really young at that point, but I have videos and things of that. It's the best.
Oh man, y'all, kids are great.
But no, I love cycling, but like I'm not gonna do it on the roads here
Mhm.
because people don't drive the same way here.
No.
And like you said, it's very hilly.
Mhm.
And so like not really big into that. And so like to try to get distance, it's very hard to get distance on like greenways and things
Yeah.
like that. And so to have the trainer's great.
Mhm.
And all that was to say that the hope is to just use the trainer a little bit more.
Yes. Mhm. And
Among other things. I apologize also because you're probably hearing a motorcycle right now. Do you actually want to carry on for a second? I'm gonna go close
okay.
this door.
Yeah. I really wish that the bike trainer situation was a little easier to be swapped out because, well, anything that we share like that would be easier to swap out because him being so tall, me being so short, I can't just ride his bike. So there's no way for me to partake in this. Um, and it's a whole ordeal to switch what bike is on the trainer. So it is a thing, but it's very nice to have. And our son loves it. He likes to at least pedal, play with the pedals on the bike and whatnot. And it's a very quick way for Justin to get in a decent exercise while still not leaving the house, basically, because that takes up a whole lot of time. All right, back to the main event.
What's funny is I wasn't even that far away
Mm-hmm.
from the podcast. Whew, I'm out of breath now. This shows you why I needed a life change.
But also, he had to move a very heavy cabinet during all this. So.
We just finished putting more foam flooring down in the office, and so I had moved a cabinet, and it was too close to the door, and so the door wouldn't shut, and I guess I've not tried to shut the door yet, and so that was a whole ordeal, a lot worse than I thought it was going to be. I just thought, oh,
I'll just
I'll
get up and
close the door real
door.
quick. Anyway, we can get you a bike trainer.
Yeah.
I am totally down if you would actually use it to
Mm-hmm.
get one that we can use just with your bike.
See, I could see myself doing it if you're doing it too. So if like we did it together, but if you just left me to my own devices, I probably wouldn't use it nearly as much. Just being honest.
Yeah.
I like doing stuff with you, and when you're home, I mean, I guess, the kid and I could come down here. He likes to be down here and whatnot,
He likes to do
but
finger exercises.
AKA video
He came up
games.
with that all on his own the other day. He told me, he's like, I was on the bike yesterday,
Mhm.
and he came up to me and he's like, "What if we did finger exercises?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I'll show you." And he walks over, and we've got like some old. If you watched one of the last vlog, we've got some old video game consoles down here in the office because we have the TV down
Mhm.
here. And I was like, this will be a fun thing every once in a while for us or for when people come over.
And like, we
And
don't play video
we
games.
don't play video games.
He's never played a video game
This was
before.
the first time was this Saturday that he's like actually played video games.
Mhm.
Besides at the store one time.
Yeah,
But
like an arcade game.
he's like, let me show you. I'll show you what a finger exercise is. And he walks over and he picks up the PlayStation 2 controller and he's like, this is a finger exercise. I was like, how in the world? Like, I've heard, people make jokes somewhat similar to that,
Mhm.
but there's no way he has.
Yeah.
Like, how in the world did you just come up with this? But no, I'll get you a bike trainer. Now you're like,
I
I'm glad that it doesn't work that well.
No, see, the issue is I wouldn't mind one. I just don't want that to be my birthday present.
Oh, well, I wasn't even saying that.
Okay. As long as you're not saying that. I want a decent birthday present.
I want a decent birthday present, but I also would like that other thing, but I just don't want that to, I've been
I don't
there.
want that to be my present.
I've literally said the same thing before, so I can't really judge you on
You
that
can't
one.
fault me because I picked it up from you.
Yeah. But no, so all these things to say is I am tired of being tired. And so a big part of that is wanting to get in shape, wanting to be active on a regular basis. Because
Mhm.
my issue has been that I have been active at times and then followed by inactivity.
Yep.
And so you lose all the things that you
Mhm.
work for, hence the 2 miles and hence being out of breath after trying to move a cabinet.
It's a heavy cabinet.
It's a heavy cabinet. But anyways, it's just but so like trying to come up with that
Mhm.
plan, and the only thing that really works for myself is
Mhm.
having some kind of challenge.
Yes.
Like the idea of like, oh, I'm just gonna regularly do things isn't really a thing.
No.
Now I do want to do push-ups and get better at push-ups,
Mhm.
and that's a good thing that I can do. Of like, you know, I'm trying to think of this that doesn't make me sound like a bad employee, but like at work sometimes it's just nice to get up and like, you're sitting at the desk and working, or you're
Mhm.
working on a project, and it's nice to, when you take a break to do something
Mhm.
different. And so I can do the push-ups at work.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a problem.
Mhm.
And then I was thinking like I'd like to have some kind of goal because I'm gonna turn 30 this year.
Mhm.
What can I do that has something to do with like what can I accomplish before I turn 30?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
If you guys have any suggestions or cool things that maybe y'all have done, let us know.
Yeah, and we talked about a few different things yesterday.
Mhm.
So we talked about like you mentioned biking for 30 miles, which
Mhm.
I think is a great idea. However, that's a big commitment to train
Hills.
for.
Oh my goodness, I still have an embroidery needle.
Oh, looky there.
Okay. Sorry, y'all.
Interesting. Um, wow, she just had that like shoved in her pants.
Well,
Uh,
my skirt, but
well,
yes.
yes, but she had it like just stabbed in there. It's
It
safe.
poked me, and that's how I found it again.
Wow.
Remind me of
That's
that later.
completely I'll try. That completely threw me off of everything. No, but so, like, trying to do 30 miles on a bike,
Yeah.
while I have gotten close before, I've done, like, over 20 miles,
Mhm.
would be pretty cool. It's at the same time, like, it's a hard thing to train for, it's a hard thing to find the space to do that.
It's a hard thing, like, because the time commitment in it, and also the hills, like, the landscape
Yeah.
is just so difficult here. Like, yes, that would be a really great thing to do,
But
but
also it'd be an investment, and that's the one thing you were like,
yeah.
"Oh, never mind." Because I don't
What?
have a bike computer anymore. I don't have a, smartwatch really
Mhm.
anymore, and so it's like I'd have to buy some kind of thing to be able to track 30 miles, and so I
Yeah.
was like, "Well, that's just not gonna work."
Mhm.
I thought about, like, if I could do 30 consecutive push-ups, but I feel like that's kinda too easy.
Yeah. I feel like that's too easy for you.
Yeah, and then I thought 30 pull-ups would be pretty cool, but then I'd have to have a place at home to do pull-ups,
Mhm.
and so I was like, "I don't know about that." So, what I'm kind of on at the moment is the idea of trying to run for 30 minutes straight, and that
Mhm.
would accomplish a few different goals that I've had, because if I can run for 30 minutes straight, then that means I should be able to run a 5K,
Yeah.
which would be pretty great if I could
Mhm.
get to that point of, and I mean, like, and when I say 30 minutes straight, like, run for 30 minutes without walking, without
Mhm.
stopping, just run.
Just pure
Just pure
running.
running, and then that should get me up to about that 3.2 mile, somewhere around that range at
Mhm.
least. At least I'd be able to hopefully push enough to get past that. I mean, a
Yeah.
30-minute 5K is pretty fast, but, like,
Mhm.
I should be able to get closer to
Yeah.
that because that'd be 10-minute miles for 3 miles. But To be able just to run or jog,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna be sprinting for 30 minutes. But
Or
so, and
oh,
obviously I'm trying to include 30 in it because
yes.
I'm gonna turn 30.
Mhm. I
So
mean, it's a good thing to do.
yeah.
And then when you turn 40, you can do something else for 40 for your 40th.
But I just don't want to be not in shape.
Yeah.
That's the real thing.
Well, and like as we get older, we really feel the impact of it.
Oh yeah.
Like so much more than ever before. Like it's so difficult when you're not in shape and you're not doing something active. No, it's not even really if you're not in shape. It's when you're not doing something active. Because I've never been in super
Because
great shape.
in shape's a relative term,
Yes.
anyways.
Mhm.
Because there's in shape of like I'm in shape as a bodybuilder, like a
Mhm.
physical shape, and then there's I'm in shape as in like I just have the stamina
Yes.
in order to do things. I think that's
And there's in
more.
shape as in I'm healthy. Like I
Yeah. Well, I think like I think healthy slash stamina is what we're
Mhm.
more concerned with. Like I just want to
Yes.
be able to do things
Mhm.
and not get tired, not get winded, and also just to be a healthy person.
Yes.
Which obviously, maybe running's not the best thing to just be healthy because it's not the best on like your
But it's
knees
a
and stuff.
great cardio exercise and keeping your heart in shape is huge for life, you know. So
Yeah, you really want to keep your heart in shape for life.
I'm just
You're not wrong. You don't
if
keep your heart in shape, you're
if
not
you
gonna have
have
life.
poor heart health, you're gonna have a lower life expectancy. So we're just gonna get you real heart healthy and keep you around forever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
That's
The
the goal.
issue is that you've already turned 30.
Yeah.
So we can't find a challenge like this for you to do for you before you turn 30.
Nope.
The good news is your next birthday is further away than my birthday is. So, I mean, we could still figure something out. Well,
Well,
not your next birthday,
yeah,
because your
because
birthday's coming up next
yeah,
month, but the
it's
one
like
after
3
that.
weeks away.
Yeah.
So
But no,
super close, but the one after that, we can figure out something for that birthday.
yeah. But I do think it's interesting when we think about like we know what's good for us,
Mhm.
yet we don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's like that struggle. And it's like what Paul talks about. And I've got the verse actually on my iPad, but just to paraphrase it and
Mhm.
just to kind of try to quote it, it's like he's talking about like I know what I ought to do, but I don't do that. Instead, I do what I hate.
Yep.
And it's like that's where we're at.
Mhm.
I hate the fact that sometimes I eat McDonald's.
Yes.
Like I know I shouldn't eat McDonald's. And I hate the
I
fact that I'm willing to go get some
and
McDonald's.
I hate the fact that I know it's not gonna taste that great, and I'm gonna spend way too much money on it to not taste great.
That's the issue nowadays. At least like when we were younger,
Mhm.
and it was like we're gonna go get some McDonald's. You're like, well, it's not gonna be the best food, but at least it's also I don't have to cook and it's
Mhm.
cheap.
Yeah.
And now it's like it's not the best food and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Like honestly, we can go to the Mexican restaurant
Mhm.
and eat better food
Mhm.
and have it be much cheaper than going to like McDonald's.
I know, it's so sad, but Mexican food's really yummy, and the
Well,
portions are really big, so it works out very well for us when we do that.
yeah.
But then the convenience of a drive-through wins out a lot of times.
Uh-huh.
So,
Well, not for us really anymore.
yeah, we've
We're
got a
pretty
lot
good
better.
about just being like, I'm not just gonna stay
Yeah.
home. Now, there was a time where the drive-through won out a lot
Yeah.
on Sundays. A lot.
Oh. But we have learned to be better prepared,
Yeah.
and leftovers are
We've learned to be better prepared or settle for suffering.
that's just what it is.
That's what it is. That's the kind of decisions that you have to make in life. But it's also just the healthier decision. It's
Yeah.
the better
Mhm.
choice. And it's really paid off
Yeah.
in many ways because it's also a lot cheaper just to eat at home than it is to try to go to those places nowadays. But no, I'm looking forward to trying to be more active and realizing that it's gonna help me in so many ways because I feel like these things were starting to struggle. Like
Yeah.
the idea of doing the vlog and doing the different podcasts were starting to get behind
Mhm.
because I wasn't feeling as good as I should.
Yeah. And it's not even that it was getting behind, it was
Well, yeah,
that it was becoming a chore when it's something that we actually really enjoy doing.
but I felt so tired
Mhm.
and worn out that I didn't want to do. It's not that I didn't want to be interested in those things. It's not that
Mhm.
I wanted to do just that, but
You had the want to, you just didn't have the drive to.
yeah. And that's the crazy thing is, you could look at it and there is still one thing that I want to kind of like get rid of, but I want to
Mhm.
do a whole video about that because like I think it'll be kind of funny.
Mhm.
But you think a lot of times like, oh, something's just got to give. I'm too tired. I'm too worn out. I've got to just take
I gotta
something
give
out.
something up.
But in
No.
my case,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying it's not the case for some people.
Yeah.
I don't know what your life looks like.
I
And
don't know what's causing you to be tired.
but in my specific instance, it had to do with just inactivity
Mhm.
and not being active enough to get my blood flowing, to get things pumping. And so I needed to add something in
Yeah.
order to fix that.
Which sounds completely crazy. We are well aware of that, but it works for our household. Like, honestly, when I'm more active, I feel better. When
Yeah.
our son is more active, he feels better and acts better and sleeps better. Like, everything's just better when our household is more active.
Yeah. And this isn't like I don't want to call you out. So I'm trying to preface that beforehand. But
Listen, he's in a lot better shape than me. I'm not nearly there. I could do a whole lot more.
that's
I'll
not at
just call
all what I was
myself
going to
out.
say.
Okay.
No, I was just going to say like because you stay home,
Mhm.
you have like a pretty good opportunity.
Yeah.
And I really still think that you should do some scheduling to figure out like when you can do some things. But scheduling a time to just go and walk.
Mhm.
And like even though he's getting older now and he's bigger, you could still put him in that big stroller
Mhm.
and just like go walk at the greenway,
Mhm.
every other day or something like that.
Yeah.
And yes, there are going to be times, oh, but sometimes it's going to rain and I'm not going to be able to do it. It's like, okay, well, say your schedule was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it rains Monday, then you just go Tuesday and Wednesday, or just like
Mhm.
figure something out.
Yeah. It just sometimes gets to excuses, we all know. But it gets to be a lot having places to go all the time and like you go to work every day, so yes, like that's a thing. But like I go grocery shopping and then like
I did
I'll
not understand what you were about to say.
yeah, so I'll go grocery shopping on one day and then of course like you forget something so you're going to end up back at the store another day of the week. And then I at least once a month try to go do something with a friend to be
Okay,
nice. And
I'm sorry,
I
and
know
I
it's
know
so hard being me.
people listening to this, like, you have to be on my side on this.
It's
She's
so
like,
hard.
I
I don't
have to
like
go
to
to the
leave the house
grocery
every day.
store. Yeah, me either. But I do.
I know,
No, we're
woe
not
is
playing that
me.
game. I'm done. I'm not even. Mm-mm.
Woe is me.
We've had this conversation too many times for you to be like, oh, it's just so difficult, to leave the house and, to do this and that. And sometimes I have to go to like the store and buy myself things.
Well, I
Like,
don't buy myself
well, you
things,
do. It's just for
but
everybody. It's another level, guys. I just can't.
listen,
I want to have you get a job. I need you to
no.
understand. You need a
Mm-mm.
job.
Nope.
Then you need to go walk. Just go walk.
Well, the weather is
Oh
getting nicer
goodness.
again, so that is going to be on the agenda.
Yeah, that is so funny. I still need to figure out my plan because
Mhm.
like so far I've not actually walked or gone on anything like that.
Mhm.
Like yesterday I did the bike.
Mhm.
Today I didn't do the bike. I wanted to do the bike and then time got away from
Mhm.
me because we were doing the floor down here.
Yeah.
But thankfully, like one more trip to Harbor Freight, one more trip to Harbor Freight,
You say that now.
and well, but for the flooring, and that's gonna be done. The floor will be done because I'm just gonna go and buy 2 packs of flooring, and it's gonna be fine. Whatever gets filled in, and that's what it's gonna be.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I don't have another choice. I'm not gonna keep going back and forth buying more of this stuff.
Mm.
I really just want that stretch right in front of us
Mhm.
to go across, and then I'm good.
Okay. I'll believe it when it happens.
What else am I gonna floor? We're running out of space. I can't floor in front of the door
Mm.
because it won't open right.
We'll just see what happens.
All right. Anyways, but no, I just haven't come up with that plan yet. So I need to
Mhm.
figure out my plan for walking and things like
Yeah.
that, and that will draw you because I figure we'll all go
Yeah.
until I start actually running, and then
Well, I
we
mean,
can
we
all
could
still
still all
go,
go, but
but I just end up leaving you.
yeah.
But I also want to kind of run on dirt for a while
Mhm.
because I'm not looking to hurt my
Yeah,
knees.
it's a lot softer to not run on pavement.
I also
You
found
could
like trail running last time was just a
mm,
lot more fun.
yeah.
Like, it was a lot more fun to like go run in the woods on a
Mhm.
hiking trail than it was to go like run at the park on pavement every
Mhm.
day.
Well, and a lot of times when you're doing trail running, you get to like run by water and stuff. So it just
Well, it's more of a challenge. Like you're
mhm.
really watching the terrain and like,
Mhm.
bouncing around a little bit more. And then
Yeah.
it's easier on your knees
Mhm.
and all those things. The other thing as I have always been just, I think, too wrapped up in, like, stats.
Yeah.
And so not having a smartwatch anymore, I still kinda I guess my Fitbit would probably still work.
Mhm.
I don't know, but I've
It
not been
just
wearing
wouldn't
it a
hold
lot.
charges
Just been wearing
long.
the old school watch. If you're on the video, then you know.
$10 from
$10
Walmart.
at the Walmart. You don't have to worry about messing it up.
If you
But
mess it up, you just go buy another $10 watch.
yep, and this has actually held up. I was honestly a little nervous about it, and it's got scratches like on the bezel,
Mhm.
but it just makes it look worn.
Mhm.
But the face really isn't that scratched up, and I thought like this is gonna get wrecked at work, but it hasn't yet. But anyway, I'm just gonna focus on time.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna look and be like, I want to go for X amount of time, and that's what we're gonna do. And then
Mhm.
when we hit it, and we're done.
Yeah. You'll just have to watch yourself if you're doing like well, any running really, because where we
Well, that
would
one's
run,
gonna be
it's
a little
there and
bit more.
back.
Well, yeah, that's gonna
So
be a
you have
little bit
to
more.
pick your halfway
You're
point.
gonna have to pick distance a little bit more on that one, but it's just
Mhm.
gonna be like whatever the run is. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna like I need to hit 2 miles or I need
Mhm.
to hit this or I want to hit this cardio
Mhm.
zone. Like I can get really wrapped up in that
Yeah.
stuff, and it's like no, I don't want to care
Yeah.
about that stuff. I told you obviously it changes for this person because now he's the world's fastest marathon runner.
Mhm.
But like I was telling you about a guy named Alib Kipchoge, and he's super fast runner
Mhm.
and he's ran a sub 2 hour marathon,
It's
which
crazy.
is absolutely insane.
Mhm.
And but growing up, he grew up in Kenya,
Mhm.
and that's like honestly the fastest runners are from Africa.
Mhm.
He's talking about it, and he's like, "Well, we don't really think about it. We're just running because that's how you get places.
Yeah.
Like the only way you're gonna get anywhere is if you run there,
Mhm.
and that's kind of where I want to be at. I don't want to run just like oh, I want to be this. Like I just want to be in shape. I want to be able to run,
Mhm.
and so that's what I want to focus on, not all these different things. And like obviously like we did the couch to 5K thing and there
Yeah.
is some real practical stuff in that in
Mhm.
the fact of like
Building
run,
up.
walk, run,
Mhm.
walk, run, walk, run, walk. But I think like that's just boiling it down to like the most basic person. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm better than the most basic person. Maybe I'm worse than the most basic person. But my point is like I think I can feel some of those things out a little bit
Mhm.
more. Like I think I can like run until I start to feel a certain way
Mhm.
and then walk until I recover a little bit. And then once I hit that recovery point, then just run again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I need all the coaching and all
Mhm.
the things like that. I'm never going to be a professional runner,
Mhm.
but I just want to be able to run.
Yeah.
And I kind of just want to do it the old school way. What would somebody 50 years ago have done? They didn't have Nike Run Club coach in their ears. They didn't have
Yeah.
a Fitbit. They just went out and ran.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where I want to be at.
Yeah. I get it.
I really find myself in all that kind of stuff just kind of wanting to go backwards. Like I want to have the basic watch.
Mhm.
I love my iPad. This is the lifesaver just for the simple fact of like copy and paste is pretty great
Yeah.
and I'm a lot better typer than I am pen writer cuz
Your
I've tried it.
penmanship is
And the other issue is honestly is like I'm trying to post a lot of things on the
Mhm.
internet and so it's a lot easier to just go ahead and type it than it is to write it and then type it later.
Mhm.
Cuz I did do that for a while. That was something. But, uh, the iPad is about the only tech thing I want, and still, like, I don't want my books on here. Like, there's certain books that are helpful, like the
Mhm.
Matthew Henry commentary, I've got it on that shelf back there,
Mhm.
but at the same time, like, when I'm in the moment, it's
Mhm.
much easier just to find the verse in this than it is to find that book, and obviously, like, I do some study other places. I don't have a
Mhm.
commentary with me all the time. But, like, physical Bible, I just unless I have to, I'm not reading off the iPad. I'm
Mhm.
just not gonna do it. Or if I'm reading books, unless I have to, I'm not gonna read that book on an iPad. I
Mhm.
wanna read the physical copy. So, that's just where I fall. It's like I have an old school case knife, like, I don't even have the crazy modern knives that
Mhm.
everybody's carrying nowadays. I've got the old school knife, old school watch, like, I just kinda want it to be simple.
Mhm. Well, I mean, it's simpler that way. Like,
I just want it to be simple. Yeah, because it's simpler.
like
And then, honestly, like, if we're gonna go somewhere,
Mhm.
and now everyday life, because of, like, what I do for work and things like that, and,
Mhm.
like, not that I can't have a camera, but, like, there's not gonna be anything worth taking pictures of. It's
Well,
just like I
some of
don't.
those animals, but
Huh?
some of the animals that come about.
Yeah, but it's very rare,
Yeah.
especially nowadays because of what part of campus I'm on. But, anyway, like, so much of that stuff is, like, I want a camera.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is, like, my favorite camera is a, Olympus camera
Mhm.
from like 2008 or something like that. You know, I've got like a
That
Canon.
camera is the bomb.
That camera is the bomb. I mean, I've got like a Canon 5D Mark II, which is
Mhm.
like one of the best cameras ever made. We've got this camera.
Mhm.
I've got countless point and shoot cameras, but like I just like this old Olympus the most. Like
Mhm.
it's just my favorite. And if film was cheaper, I would probably be more into that
Yeah.
than anything. But I like the old school vibe of things. And so
Mhm.
and actually now that I think about it, I heard somebody talking
Mhm.
and it made a lot of sense to me. It
Mhm.
was actually on the pod, which is funny because the podcast was talking about something that had an effect on my thought about listening to podcasts. But like a big part of the reason that I have an iPhone
Mhm.
is not like I don't do much of the social media posts
Mhm.
myself. Like I do all the YouTube stuff, but I don't use my phone for any of that.
Yeah.
We don't record videos on the phone anymore. We
Mhm.
use this camera. And so all those things, like I don't use my phone for much
Mhm.
except for listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
And I heard this while I was tired, and I do think it has an impact, even though I've not like done anything about it yet.
Mhm.
But they were talking about the reason that you're tired is because of how much stuff you listen to. Like there's no quiet moments, there's no
Mhm.
quiet time. You're always listening to something, and that's causing your brain to work more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's probably a pretty good point. And the cool thing
Mhm.
is now that we're on Visible,
Mhm.
I think I could do it and like just buy some cheap flip phone and be able to put that on our plan and it not be a big deal. Like, I think I could just switch to a flip phone for a little while,
Mhm.
and I'd still be able to text and things like that, but then just not have. Because well, why don't you just not listen to a podcast? I wish it was that easy. Why would you not just eat chocolate cake, right? Like, if the chocolate cake's sitting there and you're looking at it, everybody is gonna, like, end up eating it, or like a donut, whatever it
Mhm.
is. We all struggle with stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
We all struggle with temptation in various different ways, and praise God that I've gotten past, like, the really sinful stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I've lived my life. I'm not gonna lie about that and say that I'm better than anybody, and I couldn't fall to those things, of course. But we all have the other struggles, the ones that we
Mhm.
don't think is big about. Maybe you struggle with that soda addiction.
Yeah.
Maybe you struggle with a coffee
Those
addiction.
minor struggles, but
Yeah, they
they're
still have their problem, and
they
they
still
still have
yeah.
their place that need to be corrected.
Mhm.
But that's what I'm looking at on the podcast thing is like, am I too attached to these things? Am I too attached? And like, you get off one thing and all you do is just get on another.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't have YouTube on my phone anymore because even when I wouldn't be watching a YouTube video, I was scrolling for YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And so I got off of that. But then all of a sudden it's like, man, now I'm like looking at Google News all the time. Why am I doing this? You
We
know?
don't even like the news.
Or sometimes it's like, I'll even pull my phone out. I don't even have hardly anything to
Anything on
do
it.
on my phone. And I'm like, well, I'm just sitting here. I'll pull my phone out and look at the weather. Why am I constant? I'll check the weather like 4 times. It's really bad sometimes at church when it's like certain times where it's like church is about to start. So I'm going to go ahead and be in
Mhm.
my seat, but it's not started yet. And so like, I
Mhm.
keep pulling my phone out and check the weather like 5 times at church. I'm like, what am I doing?
Well, the crazy thing is the weather probably changed at least 3 of those 5 times.
The weather app sucks, but that is true.
I don't know that it's the weather app that's not great or if it's just the whole weather predicting that's not
Well,
great.
yes. I'm not trying to specific any app out here, but that one
Not
changes
trying
a
to call
lot.
any
But that weather app that your phone comes with, if you have an iPhone, does change all the time.
constantly.
It's like today. I told you, and it didn't even really rain much, but
Well, it was yesterday you told me that it was gonna rain
yeah,
today.
yesterday I was like, it's gonna rain tomorrow, and you're like, I thought it was gonna rain Wednesday. I was like, yeah, it was only supposed to rain Wednesday, and now they're saying it's gonna rain tomorrow, and then it didn't really even rain that much.
Yeah, it rained a little bit, but it was supposed to be like storm.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't keep up. But so I am still considering that. And I tested the waters. You didn't really give me any thoughts on it.
I can't on here. You know my thoughts. I like being able to track you.
Yeah, I get
I
that.
like the safety aspect of being able to us to track each other. So that's my real holdup. I do like that we can know when each other has read each other's text messages and whatnot. But
That makes you sound like a crazy person. I see why you were like, I don't really want to talk about it on here right now. We can talk about it later. I would
this
rather you just have problems in your life, Justin, and be able to track you than you actually be able to,
I don't
eliminate these
I
distractions.
don't want you to have problems, but I also want to be able to track you and you to be able to track me.
Mm.
So
Well, we're gonna have to work through that one. But it's funny how that all started off running, though.
Yeah.
But that's like
But it all falls into healthier habits.
yeah.
Like, it all boils down into having healthier habits. We wanna be more active. You have this goal of running for 30 minutes straight before your 30th birthday coming up in December.
Potential goal.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that we've settled completely on that
We
one
haven't
yet.
locked in just yet.
Somebody may give me a better idea.
No preparations have started. But we also are weaning back in. Gradually working back in to our very healthy food life
Yeah.
because we got out of it and because of the holidays and things, and now we're trying to work back in to it.
And we just didn't come out of the Daniel fast like prepared enough. Like we haven't ate that bad.
Well, and I
but
just really got sick of beans.
yeah, you
So like
pulled out the.
I was done.
We talked about chili last night, and you're like, I just don't think I can do it still.
You were like, I can have chili. I could go for that. I'm like, I can't. I'm not there yet.
I could probably, as long as it's something I like, I could probably find one meal that I really like, and I can have that meal every day, and it's not ever going to get old, and I'm never going to get tired of it. But you are.
Yep.
And you talk about me with like leftovers, but the issue with leftovers is a lot of times it's not something I like that much, or it's something I like a whole lot, but we run out of one of the components that makes me like it so much. And so it's like, well, I don't want to eat that because we don't have this or we don't have that.
Makes it hard, but
wow, that was kind of. I still eat the other leftovers.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to make as much of it.
Yeah.
Like if you were making spaghetti, which I don't even like spaghetti, but if you were making the spaghetti, I'll eat it for dinner, and I'll eat the leftover the next day. But that's it. After that, I am done.
But
like we don't need to make so much spaghetti that we're eating it for 4 days because I don't want to eat spaghetti for lunch and dinner for 4 days.
It's just hard though when you're making spaghetti because you either make not enough or you make way too much.
Well, I think the focus would be on like the sauce. Well, all the components of spaghetti are cheap, but it's like I would rather have extra sauce and less noodles than have a bunch of noodles because you can make noodles really easy.
I'm struggling.
You need to go run. You've not been active enough.
I did a whole bunch of running around, running errands today.
Yeah, that doesn't count. I did a bunch of that too.
Know. There was a lot of walking in one of those stores. Walked around those aisles a whole bunch searching for stuff.
How many steps you got? You're saying it's a bunch. I bet you're at 6,000. I bet you're not even at that many steps, and you're over here trying to tell us about. My dad was always like that. He would be like trying to get his step goal or whatever, and he would think that if they went to the store, like him and mom, was like, oh, we'll go to the store and get our steps. And my mom's like, that doesn't work. And he's like, what are you talking about? Well, you have to walk around. You don't get nearly as many steps as you would think when you're at a store.
I was also pushing a buggy, so that takes
down. Oh,
yeah,
it took it down.
Yeah.
What is it?
Not even 5,000.
Exactly. And the buggy thing, it's tracked. It does have a little bit of an impact, but not as much of an impact as you would think because what's tracking nowadays, those watches aren't just tracking like your arm back and forth as much as the little moments.
Yeah.
And so that's how like the newest watch can do like those gesture things. It's because like somehow I can tell when you do this. Heard it doesn't work that great.
I mean, how could it though? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Such tiny movements that I don't understand.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
I need to be more active. I'm aware.
I was like, I'm just glad I won.
But I just have a very busy day today.
So I don't know if I told you this or not, but one of their friends, I guess I can say somebody's name on here because it doesn't matter. But Ben has, every time I go to his house, his bike's like hanging up on the garage wall. And so I thought about asking him, I'm like, so does that bike just always hang on the wall or do you ever actually use it?
You should ask him and then see if he wants to go bike riding with you.
That was kind of that's the lead in after that question. But I want to take him on like the hard one. I want to take him over there and do the gravel thing, which you think like, oh, it's kind of it's well, okay. I always think it's flat. It's not flat.
No,
it's not flat. But
you're talking about the one in Oak Ridge.
Yeah, but it's not as hilly as you think, especially that new side that we started going to. It's not as hilly as like it's not crazy hilly, but it's just up and down.
It's enough.
It's enough to notice it. But the issue is just being on gravel.
Yeah.
Like you put a bike on gravel and it's just more difficult. But so I thought about being like, hey, you want to go ride that? Now, obviously, I need to do some more time on the trainer so my legs are a little bit better.
That way you can show up and show out.
Exactly. That's the only way you show up. Yeah, I haven't
Listen,
rode in a
that's
long.
the only way you take someone on a thing at all. Take them hiking, take them on the kayak, you take them on the boat. Anything you take
I
anyone to
will.
do anything,
I will say though.
you make sure that you are prepared.
I think yeah. Like I'm not gonna show up and not be able to do what I'm saying that the other person should do. But like I will say, he's one of the only people that I've ever gone hiking with,
Mhm.
and he's not nearly as tall as I am,
Mhm.
but that kept up with me
Yeah.
and didn't need the brakes and that was
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
It's like didn't go on a hike and like like they're not saying like I need to stop or anything like that. Like he honestly, it was kind of. I think we were pushing each other, but
Mhm.
neither of us showed it.
Mhm.
But still, neither of us were at a point where like we had to stop.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. So he might do better on the bike than I'm expecting. I don't know. He's just a
Mhm.
little dude,
Yeah.
slender.
Yeah. He's not, but
I mean, compared to me.
yeah.
But most people are.
Most people are.
But I guess it's gonna do it for this episode of the
Mhm.
podcast. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, hopefully. But hopefully it also inspired you guys to
Mm-hmm.
think of something to do to be more active. It is still fairly early in the year, so we still have a long way to go. And weather is starting to be nice. So
Finally,
everyone's wanting to be
yeah.
outside. Like, I've already got the garden started and.
Like looking at myself in this, I
Mhm.
feel like you have more color than I do, and it's really bothersome to me. I feel like Casper.
Well, I mean,
And that's part of the other reason that I'm gonna have to go and
do
like
something.
be active. I used
And
to
make
be
sure you don't wear your hat.
I have yeah. That's why that's another part of things. I used to look like this couch.
Yeah, you used to be dark.
And then you happened and now I'm this color.
My bad. But
But
hey, I'm a lot darker now than I used to be. I used to be this light or lighter
yeah.
back when you met me, and now I'm this dark.
I'm just gonna have to take the boy out on the kayak a couple times a week and
You can't leave me.
I was gonna take you to. I was just
Okay.
messing with you. Um I lost my train of thought.
Anyways, I think that'll do it all for this week. If you have suggestions for the doing something for 30 before his 30th, please let us know in the comments. Have a wonderful weekend. If you've got any fun plans, please let us know. We want to know those weekend plans. Everybody's got some weekend plans.
What's funny now though is we do this so early in the week, we can't even share our weekend plans.
We don't, I mean, I have weekend plans already. So, I mean, I could. I'm going to a baby shower. So I'm finishing up the gifts for that. But anyways, check back in on Monday for More God Bless Me. And we will catch you guys next week.
God bless.
God bless.